Okay, this video is to ask you to think about the format of a general essay or an argumentative essay. And it's a simple 3-point format that you need to remember for all your general essay answers. And the 3-point format is this. First, thesis. Second, evidence. And third, evaluation. What do I mean by these three things? Let's start with thesis. A thesis or a hypothesis or an argument, you can use any of these three words, is usually a specific claim made in relation to a broad area, right? That is, for example, suppose the broad area is the position of women in Indian society. And if I take a standard UPSC question from the past, there was a question, for example, which said that the idea of the fulfilled new woman in India is a myth. Now, the broad area here is the status of women in India. The specific claim being made by the question is that the idea that this new Indian woman is fulfilled is a myth. It is wrong. So that's the specific claim. Now, when you're writing a research paper, you come up with your own claim, but what's great about the UPSC question is that it already has a claim. It gives you the claim, and you either support that claim, you say yes, in fact it is a myth, and you give all the evidence you can to support that claim, or you say no, it's not a myth, the new Indian woman is actually a fulfilled person, and you give evidence to support that answer. So the thesis is already in the general essay question. You don't need to come up with one. It's in the question. You need to identify it and begin to answer it. How do you answer it? You do take a position. Back to my earlier video where I talked about this myth that you don't take a position. You do take a position and you articulate it in the best possible way, in a clear and succinct and powerful manner in your first paragraph. The thesis really constitutes the first paragraph of the answer, so it's clear to the examiner what position you are taking on the question. Which leads us to the second and most important part of the answer, which is evidence. Evidence forms the bulk of the answer. It's written in several paragraphs. Each paragraph offers a new argument or a point of evidence, and you use examples from the books you have read, from the newspapers you have read while keeping in touch with current affairs, from magazines, from reports that you have read, government reports, NGO reports, from available statistics, both again by the government and by other organizations, and that's how you support your arguments. The number of paragraphs you use in the evidence section will depend on the size of your paragraphs. A standard paragraph is about 5 or 6 lines long. Which leads us to the last part of this template, which is evaluation. Now, evaluation is what the end of the answer you think you're just going to write in conclusion, blah, 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 or in summary, blah, blah, blah. This is not a good way to end the answer. The evaluation is actually still looking for whether you are thinking or not. So actually the evaluation is what we call the so what of your argument. That is, if you are saying this, so what, right? So you have to develop that so what of the argument. So you actually are looking at the implications of your position. That is, if I take this position, then what am I saying, or what am I doing? Like in the ethics questions, for example, under general essay or in general studies, you can always get a question which asks you to take an ethical position, and very often asks you that if you take this ethical position, what are the consequences? What are the implications of taking that position? So you develop that in 2 or 3 paragraphs at the end of your answer, in every answer, and you have a perfectly structured answer. In classes at La Excellence, what we do is we actually train students to write a paragraph and to write a sentence so that they are very clear about their answers from the smallest unit of the answer, which is a sentence, to the biggest unit, which is a paragraph, and then the whole structure of the answer. So a sentence is the most basic unit of any language, and in English it must contain a subject, a verb, and an object, usually in that order. And a paragraph is actually, it comprises of 2 parts. One is called a topic sentence, where you're making your point. The point of the paragraph is called the topic sentence. It's the first sentence. And then the remainder of the paragraph is actually an illustration of that topic sentence. You are offering the evidence in support of that topic sentence. So you have to see that each of your paragraphs has a different point. Articulate that point very clearly in the topic sentence, and then the remainder of the paragraph, 4 or 5 lines, will develop the point that you have articulated in the first sentence, which is the topic sentence. This is the basic format for writing a general essay answer. Thank you.